Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here, and I got an interesting review for you today. This is the new Syma X8G model, the X8G model, the silver one. What do you see different between the other X8 models? Well, this one has Syma's version of a little GoPro camera attached to it. Let's go into the details of this camera. Most of this Syma X8 is not really changed from the previous Syma's X8s, other than the color of the canopy on this. The transmitter is not changed much either, except for the color again of the little trim. I believe on the original X8s, this is orange, at least on my orange X8. This one is nice and red. Other than that, the big difference again is this camera. Now, it's Syma's answer to a GoPro, but it is not a GoPro. Let's open it up and take a look at this camera in detail. Actually, this is the main difference of this quadcopter. It's got this little carrying case for the Syma X8, but let's pull out the camera and take a look at it. Put that down. If you look at this little camera, there's not much difference, or there's not really any inputs on this thing. If you look all the way around it, all it has is a little USB input port. Now, this is not for charging this. This camera does not have a battery. This camera uses the battery of the quadcopter to power itself, and also uses this input port to power the camera itself, and also to provide on and off control of this camera, either taking video or picture. There is no manual input on this. There's no battery in this, which means this is not a standalone camera. Okay, this isn't something that you can take and put on anything. This will only work with the Syma X8G. Other things on this, it's 720p and 1080p selectable. Okay, so that's 5 and 8 megapixel conversion. I don't know why they say 5 megapixel and 8 megapixel. They should just say 720p, 1080p video. It has the your standard micro SD slot in it. Other than that, there's not much else I can say about this camera. It's just a basic little camera that works only with the Syma X8G. Now let's put it back in its case. Now this case, I'm not sure if little GoPro clones can fit in here or not. I didn't really measure this yet to see, but now again, this is controlled via the little USB port that comes and plugs into the top of the camera, like so. So, in effect, while you're flying, you can turn the video on and off in flight, take a picture when desired. That's the main advantage of this camera with this quadcopter over, say, a GoPro or a Runcam or a Mobius, is that you have control of it with the Syma controller. That's about it. Okay, but let's go out and fly it and demonstrate its video. Let's go out in the field and give it a shot and see how it flies. Okay, I got the quadcopter turned on. Now I'm going to point it toward the pylon there, and the reason I'm doing that is this quadcopter also has headless mode, and I'm just going to momentarily bind it in the direction of that pylon. So now that's our base headless mode direction. Now I'm going to turn this around. I'll do it in flight. I'll do it in flight. Okay, I'm starting the video now. Let's go for a flight. Oh, let me verify first that that's recording. Okay, I see the red light on the back of that. It's definitely recording. And I'm going to enter into headless mode. Okay, we're in headless mode now. And the reason I entered into headless mode is, since this is a camera quadcopter, you can do panning. With headless mode, using the headless mode to keep the camera pointed toward you. If you can remember. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, you feel that little drop out there? Let's bring it a little closer to me, and also coming out of headless mode. This camera, I believe, is somewhat noisy. Now, my original X8, I was getting ranges with my original X8 with a run cam out to about 200 meters. I'm not seeing that with this. I'm seeing ranges out to about 60, 70 meters with this particular quadcopter, which is telling me, nothing's changed on this. Nothing's changed from the other X8, which the only thing that's changed is that camera, and that's telling me that this camera is somewhat noisy. Okay, because of that noise, expect some reduced range over, say, the original X8. I'm only getting out to about 70, 80 meters. I was doing some tests with this yesterday, and greatly reduced range. So if you're using this, use it as a somewhat close-in quadcopter. Don't take it distant with this camera. Now, this camera itself, it's actually a pretty nice camera, producing relatively good video, as you can see here, hopefully. It's just that I wish they would have put some shielding in there so that you get the original range of the original X8 quadcopter. Showing you a pan of the area with the camera. Another thing I noticed is this quadcopter, compared to my original X8, is somewhat sluggish, and the reason for that is this camera is somewhat heavier than my run cam. My run cam is about 40 grams. This thing's about 65 grams total weight on this quadcopter. So it's increased weight, reduced flight performance because of that. I entered vortex ring state relatively easily when this drops, when I fly out of range. So if it starts to drop on you, you got to go into forward pitch right away to get some speed up on it. Here, I just want to demonstrate that. Let's go up high, and I'm going to reduce the throttle, and I'll show you what I mean here. Okay, I'm going to reduce the throttle and apply throttle. Well, it proved me wrong that time, but if it happens, if you notice that this thing starts to drop easily, remember to give it some forward pitch to get out of that vortex ring state, because this camera is somewhat heavier than a run cam. Actually, 50% heavier than a run cam. But overall, it is a nice camera, and I'm getting relatively good flight time recording with this, because it's running off that big battery of the X8C, or the X8 itself, the X8G. Unfortunately, I can just fly overhead mostly. Don't fly, like I said, don't try to do distant flying with this, because expect dropouts from that the noisy camera there. Reduced range is what I'm saying. Although it is a relatively good picture that this camera produces. Now, I'm recording in 1080p, but when I upload it to YouTube, it's going to be reduced to 720p. Mainly because my hat cam is set to 720p, and I want to keep things consistent here. Or maybe I'll take that back. I'm going to include the video from this in its original 1080p. There's the dropout there at about 60 meters. One dropout. But so you can see what this video looks like. I won't edit it either. I'm getting some more dropouts there. I'll leave it unedited. I won't adjust the contrast or anything on it, so you'll see what the original video of this looks like. Now, pretty good flight time. Hey, I'm going to bring it in for a second here. And the reason being, I need to, with the weight of this camera's weight is a little bit forward of center of gravity. Because of that, you're going to pick up a drift, a backward drift that you're going to have to fight as you as you fly it longer and longer, by providing more forward pitch. The way to counter that is to land it on a flat level surface and move both control sticks down and to the right, and that recalibrates the gyro so that it understands level flight again, and that way you can fly hands off like this. You know, it is a good quadcopter. It's just that, and it's still recording. I'm going to let it continue recording until it runs out. This is for Steve C. If you're still out there, Steve C., look, there's nobody around me, really. I'm not kidding. Nobody's controlling this. I wonder whatever happened to Steve C. I haven't seen him in the peanut gallery recently. He would never believe that you could fly a quadcopter hands off. Well, sure you can, if there's no wind. Okay, my lights are blinking now. Let's bring her in. That's the flight time. And let me turn off that video and verify the light goes back to green. And that's that. So, this has been an introductory flight. Let me hold this up. Unfortunately, we can't see the mountains in the background today because there's a brush fire down southwest of here. And they're hidden behind smoke today, but oh well. This is Quadcopter 101 with a review again of the Syma X8G model. The one with the GoPro clone camera, which it really isn't a GoPro clone, but Syma's version of it. Hope you enjoyed this flight. This is Quadcopter 101, signing out.